Hey everyone, I know it's been a while. I wanted to keep more updates for the build as I kept doing it, but I kind of got sucked into farming. We did a lot of farming. So this is going to be a big jump from the previous videos, but it's time to keep you guys updated on how to keep progressing your Selena, specifically in the Icebound Beam. So we're going to dive into this and we're going to go over all the new stuff we got. We're going to start with our gear. Nothing here is tier 0. And I'm at the point where I can start tier 0ing things. And if you tier 0 things, you're going to be a lot stronger. But I wanted to push the limits to see how far we can go without tier 0ing. And currently we're sitting around 150, 160 billion DPS. We're clearing deep space and we're farming profound with no tier 0s. So if you're looking for a no tier 0 option, this is working for me. So we're going to get into this. We have our helmet. I'm getting the armor pen on my base at the top. Dreamweave, I threw an armor pen on there as well. Main mods we're looking for are intelligence, support skill. Those are the two big ones. Everything else, honestly, with the helmet, you can use this as a damage source or a defensive layer. I went for a defensive layer with my helmet because I was really lacking resistances and other stuff. So once I committed to the resistances on the bottom, I committed to the defenses at the top as well. You can go completely differently with this spot and make it all damage and ignore all the defensive layers if you prefer to do that. Over here, we have the false gods. This is not going to be sticking around forever, but it is being used right now because the crafted base we're looking for is very expensive. And the base we're looking for is a Sage's Necklace, which gives you the intelligence, as well as the base mod we're looking for is either Corruption, Curse on Hit, or Base Ailment. And both of those are in the 5,000 to 6,000 just for a white base. So I haven't bought them yet. I found this one. This does the job, so that's why we're using it. Currently, we have the Light Hunter's Belt. Again, not probably going to be here when we're all said and done putting the build together. But in the meantime, this is keeping me very tanky, keeping my energy shield going. It's converting my life over. Not a big deal, but it's giving me more energy shield. It's just very helpful. And it's very cheap. It's a good option to keep you alive. I'm enjoying it. So that's why we haven't replaced it yet. Over here, we have the Wind Breath Dispersion Ring. This is a very important ring. I highly recommend getting it. You really, really want this. It's a big deal to the build. It's probably one of the most important legendaries you can buy right away. You're looking for at least 3 channel stacks here, minimum channel stacks. Then if you're looking for the corruptions, the best possibility you can get is, in my opinion, this one down here, because it gives you a higher roll. You can also roll this and then just move the ring over to the other side and you'll get both. But best case scenario, this will still be 3 and this is 30. So I feel like the bottom one here is better. The other corruption in a perfect world would have landed on the cooldown recovery speed, but defenses is it's pretty good, so we kept it. All right, we're going to our weapon. This is a big deal. You're going to be wanting to use a centaur staff. All right, again, I got an armor pen base, a base mod at the top. I threw armor pen on the Dreamcraft. You'll get the theme going on here. Oh, look, my ultimate affix is also armor pen. Surprise! So the mods you're looking for here, the ultimate ones are your spell skill, your ultimate. You definitely want your intelligence. You want your spell critical strike rating, your elemental damage, and your spell damage. There is one more option that I was looking at, and that is the plus beams. I think you end up with like 4 beams, but it's an ultimate. And you would have to either sacrifice your spell skill level or your armor pen. And be honest, I don't know which one's better. I am using these two. Is the beams an option? It might be. It might be. I'm not too sure yet. But that's what I'm using for my weapon. Over here, we have the chest. Isfil Sorrow. This is a big deal. You cannot wear this unless you hit the minimum requirements of intelligence. This is where the False God skin is coming into play. It has given me lots of intelligence to make this a lot easier. Once you hit this threshold at the bottom, at least, you can get that number as low as 1,000. I have a higher roll. It is what it is. Getting the bottom base corrupted is a big deal. It's like doubling your damage from having it uncorrupted. Corrupted versions are expensive. The other option is how I did it. I was just buying uncorrupted versions for 300 and corrupting it myself. and I got lucky. I hit it on like 4 tries. I hit this. Sometimes it'll take more, and it, so, use your judgment. Either gamble it yourself to try and save money or save up and buy a corrupted base. It is a big deal. We're going to move on to our gloves over here. We have the armored damage pen base. Here on the stats, we're looking for adds cold damage per stack of focus blessing. We're looking for active skill level. We're looking for intelligence. On the bottom, you have the same choice. You can go all in on damage. You can get crit strike damage, crit strike rating, and something else. And you can find your resistances via using an aura or pets. Me, I went the defensive route. I threw some resistance on here to help me get my resistance. I might change this later. I haven't fully decided. We'll see where I end up resistance. If I'm way overcapped, I'll start removing it off my gear. Over on the boots, we got an intelligence base. I got lucky here. I found a double base, and it happened to be intelligence and armor pen, which in my opinion is some of the best choices you can get here. Other good alternatives would be move speed or base damage, where it's like X to X cold damage added to your spell. Those are also good. But I got lucky. I grabbed these ones, so they're pretty good. On the mods you're looking for here, you're looking for intelligence, cooldown recovery, move speed, deflection, and then up here, you can play around with it. Again, I leaned in on the defensive. I like to be tanky. I like to stay alive as much as I can. So we leaned more on the defenses, and here we are with energy shield. Currently, we are still using our corrupted kaleidoscope. It's really, really good, especially since we're using mixture. We'll get into that once we go into our pedigree, but it's very helpful. We're getting 3 times the buff here, and it's pretty useful. The next upgrade would be a crafted ring. We haven't got to that point. They're expensive as well for bases, so we're kind of stalling, but that would be best in slot option, in my opinion, is a very, very good crafted ring. But in the meantime, we're rocking the kaleidoscope. All right, guys, so that's our gear. All right, we're going to go over now. That's not what we want. We're going to go over to our skills. So we are using the Icebound Beam. We have this supported by Guard, Multiple Projectiles, and Scatter Shot Beam. And then as these fancy new supports, the 2 that I'm currently using, and again, from basically testing the other options, I like these ones for my playstyle the best. At the moment, we're using the Ring Blade as well as the Frostbitten. Over here, we have our Corruption Curse. Once we get our modded necklace that will give us corruption on hits, we're going to change this to something else. Probably a Blurry Steps or something, or a Blink. So I can blink out of some cages or boss fights. That'll come in handy, like a Frigid Transmission or a Blink. Or I might throw a Blurry Steps. But until I get that curse on hit, we need corruption here. I'm using an activation medium, so I don't have to push the button, but you don't need it. So you can just use a preparation if you don't want to buy one. It's just as good. Terran of Malice, cooldown recovery, or extended duration. Both are viable. Play out with the timer to make sure you always have your curse active. If you need more cooldown to make that happen, you use cooldown. If you need more duration to make that happen, you use duration. Over here we have Fixate. This is a damage booster. It's very helpful in my opinion, especially when you have that corrupted ring we showed in the gear. It'll give you lots of double damage chance, and that's really helpful. Alternatively, if you don't want to use this, or you don't have the ring, or you don't feel like it's enough double damage to be justifiable, you could throw a Blurry Steps in this spot to move faster, or that Blink we were talking about. So that's your option here. I think Fixate's the play, though. We're going to be using Secret Origins Unleash. We got, again, the preparation, so we don't have to push the button. Well-fought battle, extended duration, and cooldown recovery to make sure it's all the time. To be honest, I don't think I need both of these anymore. I haven't tested it. This is my mistake. But if you don't need both of them, the other option we're going to throw in here is Mass Effect. So if you did the math before me, which I haven't done yet, you just take one of these out and replace it with a Mass Effect, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing after this video is done. All right. We have Mana Boil, also with preparation, Mass Effect, and Well-Fought Battle. You do not need the cooldown, recovery, or the extended duration because this is dependent on your mana. As long as your mana doesn't hit 0, this will always be active. Therefore, it doesn't really matter how long it lasts or how long the cooldown is, because if you're doing it right, you'll never lose this buff. So we use these 2 and we buff it up, make it stronger. Over here, we have Elemental Amplification with Restrain and Aura Amp. You can change this to a Precise Energy Fortress if you want to be tankier, or an Elemental Resistance if you want to be tankier and need some resistance. I do go into some scenarios, like if I'm fighting bosses, maybe I want to be tankier, I'll switch this out. or if I just want to do like really harder content, I'll switch it out to be a little tankier. But for most of the time, I'm running around with the elemental amp. We got precise projectiles. We got aura amp and restrain. Last night, we found the selfishness. Do I think this is the best thing here? Maybe. It really depends how much energy. I still have a lot of energy I haven't played around with. But I do think this will end up in the build. And I think it will end up over here as well. We'll also get another one for this if we can. The other option we're looking at is the precise seal conversions. Once we get those, I'm going to play around with the precise seal conversions and see if I can squeeze another 50% on and sacrifice my swiftness. I'll get rid of my swiftness. I'll put a precise seal here. Maybe I'll put a precise seal here. And that will be able to squeeze in another 50% aura. If that's the case, I'll grab one of those defensive ones I was talking about. Or if I really want the damage, we have the erosion enhancement. But that's that. So that's what that is. You don't have to go out of your way for this. I got this last night for free. So don't stress. It's 1500. The build is fine with or without it. Over here, we got corrosion imbue. It doesn't need to be precise. Any corrosion imbue will do. I got the seal conversion, the restrain, and I have add physical damage here. And the reason I'm doing this is for the base trauma. And this is going to apply the trauma for me because I don't have base ailments on my neck that we mentioned, or in my slates, which we are going to be getting to. So if you have your base trauma somewhere else, you do not need to use this. If you're missing base wilt, which you shouldn't if you're using this, but so we won't mention wilt. If you're missing base ignite, you switch this to add fire and stuff like that. If you have all your base ailments covered, you can switch this to an imbue buff. And the buff will buff the imbue part, which is the top half. And that's what we care about more than buffing the explosion. The explosion's nice, but this is probably more damage for us because we're more reliant on a big hit versus, you know, the occasional explosions that it gives us. So if you do want to, if you have all your bases covered, you are going to want to throw an imbue buff on here. Finally, we got the swiftness because we had the extra mana, or amp restrain, seal conversion. We went over this. I plan on getting rid of this once I get precise seal conversions. If you're ahead of me, play around with the math. Let me know if it's even possible. Over on our candles, we're rocking a min channel stack candle. Very, very important. Probably your number one first buy things are the ring and this candle. If you haven't bought them yet, go do that right now. Pause the video, buy the candle, buy the ring. You'll thank me. Trust me. So the other mods up here, not the best, but it is what it is. Second candle. I'm using this controlled spell. I made it. I didn't buy it. If I wanted to buy this thing, it's like 4,000 FE. I'm not telling you to go buy this. Alternatively, you can use a grudge candle. You can use a crit damage candle. These things are expensive, but they're probably your best options. If you're looking for a cheaper source, I think it's in my stash, so I can't show it to you. You use a +1 beams candle until you can find one of these big ones. Once you get to this point, you are now at the point where you need to get 2 tier 0s on the mods. So, you know, you're going to try and put your +1 beam on here. You're going to try and put your soul eater up top. You're going to try and put, you know, min channel stack and control spell on the same candle. This is very advanced stuff in the candle crafting, but that is the point that I am currently at. And if you're ahead of me, yeah, get the better candles. All right, guys, that's our skills. Let's go over our talents. Over here, we got pretty much the same thing. Damage is all over the place. We got some attack speed. We got our crit damage. Here, we got some life and energy shield. Do you need this? No. If you want more damage, you can take these points out, throw them in the damage nodes that I don't have. You're only going to be getting like around 54. Like, you know, you put 3 points in another talent later on I didn't put in. You'll gain 54% base. So you decide, do you want 54% damage boost or do you want more energy shield? That's a player preference. Over here, we're going to get our intelligence, very important, our spell skill, very important, and our focus blessings. Up top, we're running chili still. Do we need chili? Not really. Not necessarily for the chance to gain focus blessings. We have that elsewhere. But we do get the max focus blessing, and this does escalate a lot of other things we're doing, so it's pretty good. Winter is also an option. If you have crazy generation already, you can mess around with this. You might squeeze a little bit more damage, but honestly, they're really close, and the quality of life I get from this just makes my brain cells feel happy. So we're still using chili. Over here, we have insight because we don't need the preparation necessarily. We have the gaining. The cast speed, from my understanding, shouldn't be doing much for our channel spell. I've asked about this a few times to the devs, and every time I ask them, they say channel speed should only increase how fast you channel the spell, not how fast the projectiles are being shot. Therefore, if you are 5 out of 5, cast speed should have no effect. However, if you were to go hit a dummy, the dummy, well, as dumb as he is going to tell you something different. I don't know if I want to trust the dummy or the devs. So in the meantime, I'm just going to ignore cast speed. And we're ending up with Insight. Over here, we have Elementalist. And again, here you go. This is that damage point I was talking about. If you prefer, you can grab that. We got our damage, we got our crit, we got our attack and cast speed. Over here, we have our resistance with -8 additional damage. This is big defensive layer. Highly recommend it. Don't sleep on that. We got our cooldown. This isn't cooldown. This is intelligence. We have our chance when we gain focus blessing, we gain the other blessings. So we'll always have maximum blessings for all of them. It's very important. Over here, we have, we don't need this. These are 4 points we don't need. Ignore that. We don't need that. I can take that out. It's completely pointless. But yeah, we put them there. Honestly, if you're not 100, you won't even have these 4 points. So if you're not 100, don't worry about this. You don't, just those are the points you don't get. This is important, very important. Lots of base damage, very good, as well as +1 cold skills, very important. Over here, we have Translucent. Translucent, well, it's a big deal. And we'll get into why it's a big deal once I show you my pedigree. It'll make more sense there. But essentially, whenever I deal fire damage, I get 20% bonus. Whenever I deal cold damage, I get 20% bonus. Whenever I deal fire damage, I get 20% bonus. I'm dealing all 3 of these at once. I'm getting a 60% bonus. That's a big number. Pretty good. It'll make sense once I show you my pedigree. Over here, we have Procure Your Vibe. This is essentially 25 additional damage. Very good. The other option is here is the min channel stacks. So if you don't have the candle or you don't have the ring and you still need those minimum channel stacks to get to 5 out of 5, which is the most important thing you can do for your build, you can use Quick Ritual in the meantime. But once you have those 5 out of 5, well, this is only giving you 20% additional. Well, this is 25% additional, 5% more. Why am I not using this? Over here, we have this one. You're like, Mike, you have 4 focus blessings. Wouldn't this elemental damage be better per stack? Yes, we are at that point where this is slightly better mathematically. However, I'm going to lose the chance to inflict the elements. I just got to 8 focus blessings. I will be honest with you. I am probably going to do this. This used to be elemental penetration. As you can see, it's called penetrating. So this used to be 4% elemental penetration. And that is useless for me because I'm doing erosion damage. And erosion is not an element. So that would have been useless for me. But luckily, this has been changed to elemental damage per stack. So this is probably better. And we are probably going to end up using this. But this only becomes better than this once you have at least 7 focus blessings mathematically. 7 focus blessing, it becomes 1% more damage. And I don't think that 1% is worth losing the chance. But once you get 8 blessings, this is probably the play. And we're going to just switch to that right now. Over on Warlock, we got our damage. Again, this is a dead node. So if you're taking off that energy shield we talked about, you could throw it there. We got our attack cast speed. We got our crit and crit damage. We have our cooldown recovery and our charges. We have our damage that leads to all skill level. We have movement speed when we have blur, big deal, love moving fast. And we have upon inflicting damage, we get 20% per ailment. We always have 5 ailments. This is essentially 100% damage. It's a big number. That's a big number. Over here, we have 2 extra points. Don't know what to do with them. I'll be honest, I have 4 at the top. I said I was going to respect. Those 4 equals 6 now. I'll probably pull these out of my resistance. I have 6 points to play with. I'll probably throw them in some damage or some more utility. But the point is, if you don't have these points, because you're not 100, this won't be a problem for you. And what you see is what you can make. Over here, we have Indifference. This is a no-brainer. Probably the must slam. The other 2 are not really usable. Indifference is a big deal. Over here, we are still using Dirty Tricks. Dirty Tricks will guarantee we have those 5 out of 5 ailments, as well as giving me 30% additional damage. 5 times 6 is 30, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so 30% additional damage is not bad. We take that. Alternatively, like I said, once we start messing around with the precise seal conversions, the math may say we cannot get all the auras we want on in our end build unless we use off the beaten track. If that is the case, I will come back and reevaluate and put on off the beaten track, get rid of Dirty Tricks, find another way to get my ailments on. Well, luckily we have this one over here still. The Peculiar Vibe as an option if we really, really need it to get those ailments on. But that is something that may be changed in the end version of the build. Currently, in its current state, this is the play, and we are using the dirty tricks. Over here in our slates, we've mentioned this a lot, the pedigree. All right, well, yes, this looks pretty. I understand this looks pretty. I understand this may be unattainable for a lot, especially since it has all the mods we want on it. Ignore the top mods. As good as those are very important. The blur speed you could do without, and the max focus blessing at the top you can put on a different slate if to get it. So you don't need those on the pedigree, but it helps. What you were looking for is mixture and burning touch, and mixture is kind of what we're doing. It is converting all our damage to erosion. So like that translucent I was talking about, instead of only getting one of those buffs, we're getting all three of them. It lets us use different all elements as, and even physical damage we can use as modifiers to scale our build. This opens up a whole realm of options for scaling and stacking and kind of doing some weird manipulation stuff. It's very tricky and fidgety, but once you kind of understand how the conversion system works, you get a really good value out of using mixture. Well, combo mixture with, well, here we are. Normally, this would only give you cold or fire. You're not doing both. But combo that with mixture, I am now converting both of those elementals to erosion. This essentially equals 40% additional erosion damage, which is what we want. So these are the two big ones, at least for what I'm doing. Are these absolutely the only way you can play Selena? No. But this is where I ended up because I found such a good pedigree. I decided to chase this angle. And we're going to just keep exploring the conversion angle. If you don't want to go with this angle, you can go with an Insight. You can go with Frozen Lotus. There's lots of other just straight cold damage options you can use. But I think this one gives me a lot more wiggle room and potential to play with. All right. I recommend by this point, you should have your prairie. If you haven't yet, check out my machine farming video. This will help you farm the cards so you can farm this for free. Otherwise, it's going to cost you a couple $1,000 to buy one. Not a big deal, but it starts copying things. The main thing you're trying to copy is intelligence, 15% intelligence. So this one's here, well, because it's at the bottom. I don't really care about the top node. It does absolutely nothing for me, but we have an intelligence there. That's being copied. Over here, we have the focus blessings on the top. You cannot copy anything that says max divinity slate. You can't copy that. So don't put that at the bottom. You're not going to get 2 if you put it at the bottom to get copied. It'll still only give you 1. I'm copying the regain, and the reason I'm doing this is because it makes my regain faster. I have less interval, I gain more per hit, and it keeps me alive. Is this a damage choice? Absolutely not. If you're trying to beat up the dummy and cap it, you don't want this as a choice. You probably don't even want regain at all because all you care about is damage. But if you want to stay alive, I recommend doing this. Over here, we got cold skill damage, and on the bottom being copied. But the main thing we're using the slate for is the base ignite. Remember I mentioned the base ignites from the slates? Well, originally I also had a base trauma as well, but I didn't have room for this base trauma anymore on my slate board. So that's why I had to switch that support to get my base trauma back because I don't have the neck. So if you still need your bases to get all your ailments going, use these slates to get your bases. So I currently have my ignite base here as well as a cold skill being copied. Over here are some big nodes you want. You don't necessarily need it on this slate. You can find it on on some lines if you want, might be better. But the big mods you're looking for are the minus additional damage taken. I told you, big defensive layer, don't sleep on it. Max energy shield per intelligence. This is going to give you thousands of energy shield. Really big deal if you like staying alive. Spell crit damage per focus blessing. Big deal. We're stacking focus blessings. I'm currently at 8. We're going to go a lot higher than 8. Probably, 12 or 14 is where we'll end up. And then I hit a 4% intelligence here. I could risk it to try and get a legendary mod on the bottom, right? But because I wanted to put this place to get copied, I decided 4% intelligence being copied is better than risking it because you don't get to re-roll your legendaries. And if I hit a legendary I didn't like, I'd be screwed. So I kind of settled on the 4%, but if you're braver than me, slam it. As for this, I got lazy. Purple mod is probably the best thing you can fish for a purple mod is the 4% intelligence. So if I really wanted to min-max this, I'd get rid of that and just keep slamming until I got another 4%. Finally, the last slate is another 15%. It's not on the bottom. That's why it's not being copied, as well as 100% damage bonus. This is a placeholder. This is a filler, but you get the idea. You want pretty much all your slates to have the 15% intelligence mod. Alrighty, now we're going to go to our hero traits and memories. Well, we're still all down the mermaid, all in on the mermaid side. I can go over what all of these things do in detail, but they're pretty self-explanatory. This lets you be a mermaid. This in the barred state no longer. Instead, this makes the tide go under you, and if you run into people, they get tied. So it's good. And then this makes you deal more damage if you're moving around. So always be moving. You always have tide under you, so you'll always be in tide and always be moving and always make sure the enemy's standing in the tide. And this makes the tide stronger. There you go. Now you know what the hero does. Here we got our memories. Ideally, these are not best in slot, so you don't need to match these. What you need to match is you want an ultimate memory with intelligence. You want an ultimate memory with energy shield, and you want an ultimate energy with either cast speed or move speed. Those are our two options here. Upgrade them. Try and pick the best mods you can. Don't go out of your way too much. It gets really expensive if you're trying to get the best of the best options. If you are ahead of me and you are asking, Mike, what's next? Essentially, these memories, but with +2 trait skills. So you would want the intelligence memory here with a +2 trait at the bottom. You would want energy shield here with a +2 trait. You would want cast speed or move speed with a +2 trait. That's your end game goal. That's what you're looking for. They're super expensive right now. So hopefully, if you're using the Black Sail video void chart I made, that'll help you find them. It's hit or miss. I know you'll go a long time without even getting it, maybe. But if you do get it, it'll save you 10 to 20,000 FE per memory at its current prices. It's probably worth taking some time to at least try. Maybe you get lucky. All right. So we did the skills. We did the gear. I think we did everything. I think that's everything. All right, guys. I'll jump in a quick map. A lot of people like to see the maps to see what we do. We'll just go into a profound. Like I said, we can do the deep space. We can clear it. It's not, in my opinion, farming status quite yet, but we can do profound, fully compassed, fully rolled up, and we'll just walk through this map pretty easily. All right, guys. As I'm clearing this map and showing you all these goodies, oh, we got a boss here. Never mind. We're gonna stall. This is gonna take a little bit, and then we'll end up with too much downtime. Oh no! All right, back to killing the turtles. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about the build, you have anything you think would improve the build, because like I said, this is a work in progress. This wasn't pre-planned or anything like that. I'm adapting on the fly to things I get. I'm trying out new options, and this is what I got. As you saw, I have no tier 0s. I can start putting tier 0s on the gear, and honestly, 1, 2, maybe 3 tier 0s. You're flying up to the 300, 500 billion mark just by putting those tier 0s on. So I do think the build has a lot of potential. I think it has the potential to be the best build in the game. I don't know. I haven't looked at any other builds. The point is, I'm enjoying it. I like running around as a mermaid. I like blowing up the screen with minimal effort. I like feeling safe, and I like getting loot. So hopefully all these things are good and you enjoy it too. As always, I will be streaming every single day this season, at least for the next month. So look at the timestamp of when this was posted. At least a month after that, you'll be able to find me over on Twitch under the same name. There's a link in the information section in the video. Click that link and come say hi if you can. If you guys have any questions about the build or anything at all, you can throw them up in the YouTube comments and I will get back to them as quick as I can. But because I play so much, I don't really check my YouTube comments as much as I should. So if you do want a quick instant reply, the best way to get a hold of me is definitely coming to Twitch and asking me your question directly, and I'll help you guys out. All right, guys, hopefully, ooh, 50 FD, bog. That's a good way to end the video. Hopefully this helps you guys out. Hopefully this will get you into that deep space fish mode that everyone's trying to do. And as always, I'll keep updating as I find more fun things to help you along your progress. All right, guys, we'll catch you in the next video, and good luck. Happy hunting.